5 years later, after they had their big encounter with Gozer on top of the zoo building, yep, a new ghostly threat has come to New York City. So who you gonna call? You got it. They're back. Here's a re-review of Ghostbusters 2. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Dual, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a re-review of the 1989 supernatural comedy flick Ghostbusters 2, released by Columbia. Once again, directed by Ivan Reitman and written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, who return along with Bill Murray, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, Ernie Hudson, and Annie Potts. The film was released on June 16th, 1989, 5 years after its predecessor. And of course, taking place 5 years after the events of the first film, the Ghostbusters have been sued and put out of business after the destruction caused during their battle with Gozer the Gozerian. When a new paranormal threat emerges, the Ghostbusters reunite to combat it and save the world. Now, when it was originally released, it just got dissed and what have you. But soon it managed to get a little bit of a fair following, but not a whole lot. Before I start, if you have not seen my re-review of the first film, which I would greatly appreciate if you check out, that's not been doing so well for me. Not that I'm trying to encourage y'all to watch out, okay? Because stuff like this has been happening to me before, but I'm going to try and change that. I hope so. I'm going to try anyway, certainly. Alright, let's get into the story. 5 years after saving New York City from destruction by the shape-shifting god Gozer, the Ghostbusters have been sued for the property damage incurred and barred from investigating the supernatural, forcing them out of business. Ray Stantz now owns an occult bookstore and works a side job alongside Winston Zedmore as unpopular children's entertainers. Egon Spengler works in a laboratory experimenting with human emotions, and Peter Venkman hosts a television talk show about psychics. Please stand by. Sorry about that. Dana Barrett, Peter's ex-girlfriend, has an infant son named Oscar with her ex-husband and works as an art museum restoring artwork. She contacts the Ghostbusters after Oscar's baby stroller rolls seemingly independently into a busy intersection. At the museum, a painting of Vigo the Carpathian, a 16th century European tyrant and powerful magician, comes to life and enslaves Dana's boss, Janos Poa. Vigo orders Janos to bring him a child to possess, allowing him to escape the confines of his painting and live again to conquer the world. Because of his infuriation with Dana, Janos chooses Oscar. Meanwhile, the Ghostbusters excavate, I misread that, the intersection where Oscar's stroller stopped and discover a river of slime running through the abandoned beach pneumatic transit system. Ray obtains a sample but is attacked by the slime and accidentally breaks a pipe that falls onto a power line, causing a citywide blackout. The Ghostbusters are arrested and taken to court for the damage and for investigating the supernatural. Upon presentation as evidence, the slime sample responds physically to the judge's tirade against the Ghostbusters and then explodes, manifesting the ghosts of the Scoleri brothers, whom he had sentenced to death. The Ghostbusters capture the ghost in exchange for a dismissal of the charges and the right to resume their business. One night, the slime invades Dana's apartment, attacking her and Oscar. She seeks refuge with Peter, and they rekindle their relationship. The Ghostbusters discover the slime reacts to emotions and suspect it is amassed from the negative emotions of New Yorkers. Determining Vigo and the slime are connected, Egon, Ray, and Winston investigate the river of slime, but they are pulled in. They emerge at the museum and begin fighting each other until Egon realizes the slime's negative energy is influencing them. The Ghostbusters tell the mayor of their discoveries but are dismissed. His assistant, Jack Hardmire, has them committed to a psychiatric hospital to protect the mayor's political interests. A spirit appearing as Janos kidnaps Oscar and Dana pursues them into the museum, which is then covered with impenetrable slime. On New Year's Eve, the slime rises to the streets, causing widespread supernatural chaos. Discovering Hardmire's actions, the enraged mayor fires him and has the Ghostbusters released. Now for the ending. As always, you know the procedure. You have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Determining that a positive symbol will rally the citizens and weaken the slime, the Ghostbusters use slime charged with positive emotions to animate and pilot the Statue of Liberty through the streets filled with cheering citizens. At the museum, the slime barrier partially recedes due to the positive emotions, and the Ghostbusters use the statue's torch to break through the ceiling, stopping Vigo from possessing Oscar. Then Rappel through the ceiling and neutralizes Janus with positive slime. Vigo takes on physical form, immobilizes Dana and the Ghostbusters, and recaptures Oscar. The gathered crowd outside begin singing the chorus of Auld Syne. Sorry, I sometimes mispronounce that title. Let's see. Yeah. And their positivity weakens Vigo, sending him back to the pain and freeing the Ghostbusters. Vigo possesses Ray, but the Ghostbusters use their weapons to free him and defeat Vigo, his painting being replaced by their likenesses surrounding Oscar. Afterwards, the city allows the Ghostbusters, and the Statue of Liberty is returned to Liberty Island in the story. So, what did I think of Ghostbusters 2? Well, I am gonna say it was fun and what have you. Well, it might not have come close to as good as close to as popular as its predecessor, but I still thought it was pretty good though. Anyway, it wasn't as big as its predecessor. It went on to make 215 million against its 30 to 40 million dollar budget. Excuse me. When it was released, it got dissed and what have you. Critics responded unfavorably to what they perceived as largely a copy of the original and a softening of its cynical, dark humor to be more family friendly. Although the performances of characters played by Peter McNichol and Rick Moranis once again placed Tully were repeatedly singled out for praise. Yes. It became the 8th highest grossing film of the year, but Columbia deemed it a financial and critical failure, effectively dissuading Murray from participating in a third Ghostbusters film. However, a single from the soundtrack, On Our Own by Bobby Brown, was a success, making onto the Billboard chart. While the film failed to replicate the cultural impact and following of its predecessor, some critics retrospectively praised it. It's generally seen as a poor follow-up to the first film and responsible for stalling the franchise for decades. Nevertheless, the film spawned a franchise of merchandise including video games. There'd be 2 different Ghostbusters 2 games for the NES. What we got was Ghostbusters 2 from Activision, which was okay, which I've never played, but I've looked at it. It's okay, it's not great though. At least it's better than the NES port of the first game. While HAL Laboratory did New Ghostbusters 2, which I thought, well, despite it only got released overseas, I think that was a much better game. It actually had 8-bit renditions of some of the songs from the movie, as a matter of fact. Now, the Activision Ghostbusters 2 movie did have not just the original theme song to Ghostbusters, but also an 8-bit rendition of Higher and Higher. There was also board games, comic books, music, toys, and haunted houses. Anyway, despite the relative failure of the film, a second sequel was pursued through to the early 2010s. But despite the mixed reviews and financial underperformance of the 2016 reboot with the ladies, the series returned to the original films with Ghostbusters Afterlife, of course. And of course, the soon to be released Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Yep. There were just like so many films that were released in '89 and what have you. Anyway, Cinema Score gave it an A minus. Not only that, several reviewers criticized the film for too closely emulating the structure and story elements of its predecessor. For example, Gene Siskel called it a poor copy that offered nothing new, as though they were filming the first draft of a script. Well, that's understandable and what have you. But I'm saying it's a mixed bag though. But I liked Ghostbusters 2. It was fun and what have you. Nonetheless. But anyway, even though there were many other bigger hits and what have you, big sequels that came out like Lethal Weapon 2 and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. But there were others. Some didn't do that great, like Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, and The Cry Kid Part 3. But there were others that came out like Batman, Do the Right Thing, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and what have you. Yeah. Now, I haven't found no word from the thing from Rotten Tomatoes, but I've seen that it currently sits at 55% on the tomato meter. From what I've seen, yes. Well, of the whole, I thought Ghostbusters 2 was a factually good sequel and what have you. While it might not have been, might have felt like it was the first film all over again, sorta, but not 110% though. Even though the Ghostbusters were still popular on the ABC Saturday morning block with the newly rebranded series of theirs now called Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters. Anyway, yep. Ghostbusters 2, I think it could be a hit or a miss with y'all. It depends on if you liked it and what have you. It just depends. So anyway, now it also had a pretty good soundtrack and what have you. And its score, which was now done by Randy Edelman. That was pretty good too, nonetheless. Well, it wasn't well. It was almost close to as good as the first film score. But anyway, for our cast, we have Bill Murray back as Peter. He was good. Dan Aykroyd as Raymond, good. Sigourney Weaver as Dana, very good. Harold Ramis as Egon, yeah, still good. Rick Moranis as Lois Tully, still good. Ernie Hudson as Winston, good. Annie Potts as Janine, yep, good. Peter McNichol played Janos, yeah, he was pretty good. Kurt Fuller played Jack Hardmeyer. And let's see, we have David Margulies as Merely Clutch, Harris Yulin as Judge Stephen Wexler, yeah, and Wilhelm von Humberg played Vigo, while his voice was provided by Max von Sydow. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I really will say that was pretty good. Also, several relatives of the cast and crew actually appeared in the film, like Murray's brother, Brian Doyle Murray. I didn't know that was he was related to him. Yes, of course he would also appear in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation that same year. Dan Aykroyd's niece, Karen Humber, appears in this, and director Ivan Reitman's children, Jason and Catherine, appear in this as well. So anyway, yeah. It has some pretty good performances. We also have some cameos and what have you, including Cheech Marin, Philip Baker Hall, even Bobby Brown himself, and even Ben Stein. Hmm. So you'll know the cast is pretty good and what have you. So Ghostbusters 2, it can be a hit or miss and what have you. You be the judge. But when I recommend it, well, I'd say if you are a hardcore completionist, I give it a one-time watch. Just to be on the safe side. So anyway, that's my verdict. So, what did you think of Ghostbusters 2? Let me know in the comment section below if you like this video. Click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And next time, I'll be bringing to you a review of Divergent. So, if you like this, check out my reviews of well, these are Ghostbusters films that I've already reviewed. I'm not going to re-review them again since I just did them like 2 years ago. The upper left-hand corner, but I'll do them in a reverse order. And the upper right left-hand corner is my spoiler-free review of the recent Ghostbusters film, Ghostbusters Afterlife from 2021. Or go to the upper right-hand corner and see my review of the 2016 reboot with the ladies. Or if you would like maybe, I don't know, something even more fun, you can see my review of a film that Harold Ramis actually directed before he even gave us Ghostbusters, or before he even worked on Ghostbusters, and that being National Lampoon's Vacation from 1983. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching, and please try to keep this channel alive by checking my vids out. I'm not trying to encourage you, but I'm trying to get y'all to do this because I don't know what in the well, someone's been telling me that I need something to do with this, but who knows what that's going to be like. So until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.